Following the success of our inaugural episode tackling the sensitive issue of domestic violence and its immigration consequences, we are thrilled to bring you episode 2. Stay tuned because the episode 2 is going to be more deep than the first one. Hello, everyone. You're watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Rajni Bharara. And today, recognizing the depth and breadth of questions raised in our first installment, we realized there was much ground to cover on topics understanding New Jersey laws on domestic violence, civil and criminal laws, lodging a criminal complaint for DV, rights of the victim and legal process, civil complaint, obtaining a TRO and FRO, rights of victim and legal process, impact of the FRO and criminal complaint on your immigration status. Last but not the least, VAWA Act, VAWA, eligibility of victims of domestic violence to obtain a green card. Hence, today's episode is dedicated to addressing those pending inquiries. We are fortunate to have with us once again Attorney SEEMA Singh, whose expertise and guidance proved invaluable in our previous discussion. SEEMA Singh is an attorney at law for past 27 years. So, without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Attorney SEEMA Singh, everyone.
Good afternoon, Rajni. Thank you so much for inviting me again. And to all the viewers, happy to be here, and I hope this is informative for you.
It's of course it's going to be, the first episode was, like I said in the beginning, it was a success, and it was all because of you. You were so good with your answers. Your answers were in so detail, and the answers were really, really good and so helpful and informative and engaging at the same time. So thank you so much for coming and coming again and doing the show with us, Seema.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajni, for inviting me.
All right, so now everyone, please note that the session is being streamed live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and the handle is Immigration Talk Show. Don't forget to subscribe to us because subscribing to us is something which I take very seriously. All right, now I would not like to waste any more time because last time we had to extend the show. Right, and today, so I would not like to waste any more time and would like to directly take our very first question. But before taking our first question, I would like to give out an important disclaimer, which is there on the screen. By watching our videos, everyone, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. Okay, after this important disclaimer, now let's come to the questions. The very first question. I mean, we covered TROs, FROs, domestic violence, so many things in our first episode. We also covered U visa. But again, for the ones who were not able to, watch the first episode, could you please give them a brief about U visa before we take up this question on who can apply?
Sure. So, a U visa was a set aside for victims of certain crimes that had suffered substantial, mental, physical abuse. And these victims are necessary to be helpful to law enforcement. They have information about this criminal activity. They can help law enforcement or any government officials in their investigation and in the prosecution of a crime. So, there are
Mhm,
several criteria. You have to, first of all, be a victim of
mhm,
one of the crimes, and the crimes are, I have a list of it because there's many of them. If you have faced abduction, abusive sexual contact, blackmail, domestic violence, extortion, false imprisonment, female genital mutilation, fraud in foreign labor, hostage, incest, kidnapping, and slave trade. If you are a victim of any one of these crimes and you have faced very substantial physical and mental abuse, in
uh-huh,
addition, you must have information about this, gang criminal activity, and you must be helpful to the law enforcement or government official for them
mhm.
conducting the investigation into these crimes and to prosecute them. If you fall in these categories, then you are eligible to get a U visa. And
Okay.
another criteria of U visa is you don't need to be in the United States. As long as you can show that a US law has been violated in the US, any US law that is violated, you can get a U visa. and you can come into the country if you have an admissible status, and if you
Mhm.
don't have an admissible status, you can seek a waiver to enter the US under a U visa.
Okay, okay. And also, if we talk about, how does this U visa provide protection? If we talk about, how does it, because U visa is basically for providing protection to victims. So, how does it provide protection to victims for of domestic violence?
I mean, under the U visa, you are in a safe zone. The
Mm-hmm,
government officials, they will place you in a safe zone when they
mm-hmm,
apply for this visa, so that
mm-hmm,
you are protected. There, your safety is protected,
mm-hmm,
and obviously there are proceedings already going on against the perpetrators. There are
mm-hmm,
restraining orders in place. There are, law enforcement has put placeholders, have placed safety, put you in a safety zone basically. So that
mm-hmm,
protects you. Once your U visa is applied, it's the government officials that you're helping out. They make sure that you are kept safe
mm-hmm.
while any cases are also pending at the time.
Okay. Okay. All right. So after the U visa, I would like to know from you that are there any particular challenges faced by the H-1B and F-1 visa holders when dealing with domestic violence cases?
So when you when a domestic violence starts, it starts with a temporary restraining order.
Uh-huh.
That temporary restraining order either has to be converted or through a plenary hearing into an FRO, or
Mm-hmm.
it is either converted into civil restraints, or you dismiss it, or the court, you withdraw it, or the court dismisses it if there's no action taken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you apply for the FRO and say the victim wins that case, the
Mm-hmm.
perpetrator is fingerprinted, mugshots are taken, he's in there's a criminal record pending for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just getting the FRO itself could not
Mm-hmm.
hamper your, immigration status. However, if you violate that FRO, the FRO is a civil proceeding, but the moment you violate it, it becomes a
Mm-hmm.
criminal contempt of court. The moment it becomes criminal, and you are subject to deportation
Okay.
because you're on an H-1B, F-1. Even green card holders are
Mm-hmm.
subject to deportation, and then sometimes when a TRO starts, it starts in the civil court and in criminal court. Say a cop he comes into your home and you're very, very badly bruised.
Mm-hmm.
The police will file a complaint on their behalf. So it becomes a state versus the perpetrator's XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
um, the perpetrator's name.
Mm-hmm.
That criminal case starting, if you are convicted of a felony, it's automatic deportation. So there are various ways that a DV could negatively affect, your immigration status. You've got to be really careful. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times when victims come in and we know they are H-1B, F-1, visa holders, and their abuser can be subject to deportation, we
Mm-hmm.
advise them that go for civil restraints, because civil restraints will help you be safe because the
Mm-hmm.
person can't come near you. At the same time, it doesn't subject the abuser to having himself fingerprinted, or being found guilty of the abuse and domestic violence, and
Mm-hmm.
have him fingerprinted, mugshots taken, and an FRO entered against him. And there could be some jail time also involved depending on the severity of it.
Okay. Okay. And what jail time can we expect?
I don't know. It varies from,
Okay.
if it's
Cases to
a
case.
misdemeanor or felony or whatever. Each one has
Uh,
a criminal criteria.
okay.
So it could
Okay.
be anywhere from 6 months to. I know we just recently had a case where, and if it went to criminal court, and at that point the husband was facing 8 years of jail time. Then they
Oh.
downgraded it, but he was still facing 4 years of jail time. And then the wife decided she didn't want to pursue it because the wife is your witness for the
Right.
prosecution.
Uh-huh.
So, and they have a privilege, the marital privilege, not to testify against the husband. So she backed out, so he got saved. But if she had not backed out, then at that point you can face a long jail term, and that's automatic deportation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but Seema, sometimes if the in-laws or the husbands, or let's say the wives also, if they're not doing physical violence, or but they are doing mental violence. At such cases, what I mean, what can be done? Do they have some?
So
Yeah, please go ahead.
You have to understand the overall pattern of abusive and violent behavior. It doesn't
Uh,
necessarily have to mean hitting your wife. There could be other kinds of behavior that
right.
fall into the category of domestic violence. And there was a power and control wheel that was put out by the National Center on Domestic and Sexual Violence in
Hmm.
Austin, Texas, and they defined the power and control wheel, which showed that any kind of coercion or threats, if you make a threat to your wife that you are going to leave her, you're going to commit suicide, you're going to report her to the welfare, you're going to get her deported back if she does X, Y, and Z, those
Hmm.
coercion and threats is domestic violence.
Okay.
Intimidation, making her afraid of uh, and looking at her, or showing her uh, glaring eyes, or smashing
Right.
things, destroying, throwing stuff just to intimidate her, that's domestic violence. Emotional abuse, constantly putting somebody down, demeaning them, making her think she's crazy, telling everybody, oh, she needs belongs in a mental asylum, humiliating her or making her feel guilty. This kind of emotional abuse is also domestic violence. Isolating them, a lot of times husbands will isolate them. You can't meet this friend, you can't talk to this one, limiting her outside movement and mobility is also domestic violence. Then a lot of times they will minimize and deny and blame her for everything that goes wrong. It's your fault. They'll
Hmm.
say, I didn't do it, you're the one who hit me first.
Right.
Using children, making using your children, having them relay messages back and forth, making you
Right.
look bad in front of a child, that
Mhm.
that power and control wheel said that in itself is domestic violence. Then economic abuse, financially controlling her, not giving her money, literally keeping her under control. If she's earning something, to take it, and she's not allowed to use what she earns, that is domestic violence. and
Mhm.
um, and also the male privilege, as they call it. I mean, I call it female male privilege these days, because females abuse males
Yeah.
as well. So treating her like a
I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but as we saw, in the first episode of this topic, we got more questions related to the female abuse, if you
yes,
remember.
you're
Yeah.
right. So basically, treating the woman like a servant, you belong in the kitchen, I'm going to make all the decisions, that kind of stuff is also domestic violence.
Hmm.
So it doesn't just have to be being beaten up, or getting bruised and showing physical damage. There could be all these different criteria. All the things that I mentioned: coercion, threats, intimidation, blaming them, emotional abuse, financial control. All of
Hmm.
this constitutes domestic violence, by the way.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And let me tell you, Seema, that we have started getting questions from the viewers already. We are just 13 minutes into the show, and there are too many questions I'm able to see. But hold on, we are definitely are going to take up your questions, but in a while, because I have my questions that I need to ask from the attorney. So let's talk about U visa again. You mentioned U visa, so I would like to know from you that can a person on a U visa eventually apply for permanent residency?
Yes. So a U visa is valid for 4 years, and for that 4 years, you have an ability to work in the United States. That doesn't
Mhm.
qualify you for a green card. However, you can apply and get your adjustment of status to green card um, after 3 years of being in a U visa. So yes,
Okay.
there is a pathway to getting a green card through a U visa after 3 years of being on it.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, a person on U visa can eventually then apply for permanent residency, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, I would just like to take few names here: Krishna, Nitin, Paul, and then Shruji. Too many questions I'm able to see from the
All men.
viewers. Huh?
All men.
All men, right? That's true. I mean, in 21st century, anything can happen. Well, so guys, Walter is also here. After we said men, so Walter just popped up with a question. So Walter, just hang on. We definitely are going to take up your questions, but in a while. So let's take our next question. So the next question that I have from for you is, Okay, do okay. We have it here. If you can please talk about, the criteria and time frames involved in transitioning from U visa to permanent residency. I mean, I think you already said
I
3 years,
just
right?
said that. I just
Yeah,
answered it. 3 years you
right,
have to
right.
be on a new visa, and then you can apply for an adjustment of status to a green card.
Okay, yeah. All right, so now let's take another question then. So the next question that I have is about how does the legal system ensure the safety of domestic violence victims during the legal process?
So the
And what?
restraining order that,
Mhm,
and again, the legal system will only work if you go ahead and do something with the legal system. If women don't want to step forward and take the first step, the legal system can't dream that you are going facing that. Correct.
mhm,
So only if you, a lot of times when the cops come after a DV, they will advise the woman or the man, whoever has been abused, you can apply for a TRO, because that's what
mhm,
will protect you. If you don't apply for a TRO, and even if they take the abuser to jail, in a day he'll be out or she will be out, and they'll be
mhm.
back in the house. So till you
Right.
have that TRO in place, the person can come home. So it's up to you to file that. A lot of times they will not file it. They will, say we don't want to file a TRO. So
Mhm.
then the legal system can't dream of helping you. You have to take that first step. So the
Okay.
temporary restraining order is immediately filed to separate the
Mhm,
two, giving them a cooling period, keep them separate so that they are not, that cooling period is very essential in
mhm,
domestic violence cases. Let them think through, keep away from each other, and
mhm,
then, when the hearing takes place, decide whether you want an FRO, you want to just file a divorce and remain separated, you want to go for counseling, anger management. There are many things in place that, um, people feel, okay, this marriage still can be worked on,
mhm.
so go for
Yeah.
counseling, go for anger management. So there are many things in place, but you have to take that first step.
Okay. Okay. All right. So also, everyone, before I take up my next question, I actually would like to say that she is like, the Sherlock Holmes of such topics and such cases, but I think with a better wardrobe. Yeah, because every time, I mean, it's just a second episode, but I still can say that every time you come onto the show, you are, I mean, dressed up and so well groomed, better than the host herself.
It's not true.
And my team is also agreeing. They are saying, clap, clap, gorgeous. Ma'am is looking gorgeous. So everyone is agreeing. All right.
Coming
So
from a woman, that's a big compliment. Thank
that's
you.
true. That's true. Yeah. Women looking up to women is, I think, is, much better. All right. So now, everyone, I hope so far the session is informative and helpful to you. If you need any help, don't forget to reach out to Attorney Seema, or you can call her at 609 54 3168, or you could also mail her at seema at ssinglaw.com, or you can visit our website, which is www.ssinglaw.com. All right. And she also has a new website, which is seemasingh.com, which is pretty simple, seemasingh.com. So you can contact her through these contact details. You can connect with her. And now let's take up our next question. So the next question that I have is about, okay, I think the question is already here. I'm not sure. What community resources are available for victims of domestic violence? Right.
So there are a lot of community resources available. I know, Manavi, I'm sure everybody's heard of in New Jersey. There is another organization called Women Aware. I
Mhm,
had started my own organization called Asian Women's Safety Net, which I recently closed down because I just didn't have the time. So all these organizations have immense resources for women. They have emergency crisis management. They have pro bono lawyers on their staff that can help
mhm,
counsel. They have counselors. They have shelters. They can help you with your practical skills, with
mhm,
how to with your health education, parenting education. They also help you with getting therapy for your children. A
mhm,
lot of women who, you know, emergently leave their homes because they are fearful, they take their kids along. So these
mhm.
shelters provide for those kids also. And there
Okay.
are Lot of housing assistance that they also provide, temporary housing
Mhm,
assistance.
mhm,
You can go live in the shelters if you have no place to go. So there are
mhm.
many, many community resources that are available. You can look into Women Aware, Manavi, and they can help you out. Anger management, counseling, they can, and even advocating on your behalf.
Mhm. Okay. Last time when you came to the show, you shared with us one of your experience. One of on it was a domestic violence case, if you remember.
Yes.
So if you can
Mhm.
please share one more case if you have, so that it can reach out to the audience and people get motivated.
I mean, this other case I'm going to share is where I represented the husband, and
Yeah.
how a woman misused domestic violence to, get what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He married her in India, brought her to the US,
Mm-hmm.
and she had all plans of getting the green card and then, basically leaving him.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got her 2 year, you get your green card when you come, and then it's, after 2 years you have to reapply.
Mm-hmm.
So she was, meeting this person in Washington, the whole family,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, she goes off to Washington D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
comes back, and that night literally creates a scene where there
Mm-hmm.
is a fight in the
Okay.
house, and she leaves, goes back to Washington again, and 2 days later walks into the house with the police. And
Oh.
this kid had just come back from work. He was lying on the couch. The cops come, arrest him, throw him in jail. And he's there for 2 nights. That's when his uncle called and hired me. And
Mm-hmm.
the first, she filed a TRO. We go to court. And for the TRO hearing, I knew she wanted a green card. And I wanted this kid out of,
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but there's something wrong with the camera. If you can please tilt it. Yeah. Now it's fine. Yeah. Please go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, he went to jail, and that's when I was retained. And immediately after I got him out of jail, we had a hearing. The
Mhm,
FRO hearing was there. So I walked into court. I knew she wanted a green card, a permanent green card. So I wanted to get him out of the mess and not have it affect his record. So I talked to her. I said, "You
mhm.
want your green card? We give you a green card. You dismiss all the charges." And she got very arrogant,
Okay.
and she's like, "Oh, no, no, I'm going to take him to the cleaners. I'm going to do this, that, and the other." And that's when I lost it. I said, "Okay, now let's see what you do." So I prepared. We took an extension. I prepared for the case. I
Right.
caught her on many, and that was a very interesting case. Anyway, a long story short, I got that TRO dismissed, and she also had criminal complaints filed. And
Mhm,
then we were in criminal court. And after a few months, because municipal criminal court is horrendous, and we were,
mhm,
almost going to try that case when the prosecutor, I gave her a list of questions. I said, these are the questions you need to ask her. And when the prosecutor asked her, she couldn't come up with those answers. So the prosecutor dismissed her criminal case as well. Yes, it took
mhm,
time, it took a toll on my client, but I got
mhm,
him out totally clean.
mhm,
um, and she did not get her green card, because we also filed with the immigration to revoke it, because she had done it under false pretenses. It was all a setup. Even the attorney who guided her in Washington D.C., um, you know the God is watching, right? So she sent
Right.
an email, and unfortunately that attorney's advice to her was part of that email chain, which she didn't realize. And I pulled it, I called him up, and that's when we also got him as a witness
Mhm,
to say that he guided her to do this. So it was all a setup, and she actually misused the whole process to get a green card, to leave him. And I'm like, just file the divorce. You don't want to live with him.
right.
You don't need to do all of this, right? So
Mhm.
that was one interesting case, and but I got him out clean on both the criminal and the civil.
I mean, like I said, you are the Sherlock Holmes, so no
No, no,
doubt.
I'm not. These are very
And
draining cases. I hate to even
I
take it, to tell you honestly.
I mean,
Very, very.
definitely, definitely. And you must be working really, really hard on these cases. And if I ask you about how many cases do you get per year like these? I mean, domestic violence cases, if not divorce.
Well, during COVID, it was at a peak because I was every second day getting
Do you
these
have
kind
a
of
number?
cases. And it wasn't only domestic violence with spouses, it was domestic
Mhm.
violence between parents and children.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That bad.
But domestic violence doesn't necessarily mean only between spouses. It
Right, right,
means
of course.
anybody in a household, between adults in a household, you're living in a household.
Yeah, if you can please
Emancipated
clarify this.
minors.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So it
mean,
is emancipated minors and
mhm,
any adults living in your household. That's
mhm.
domestic violence. That
Right.
constitutes domestic violence. So it could be a parent or child. It could be, spouses.
Mhm,
Um, it could be anybody living in your household. A dating relationship, if you're dating somebody and there's
mhm.
domestic violence, that constitutes domestic violence.
Okay. Okay. All right. And also, sometimes, I mean, I think you already have explained it a bit, but I would like to again ask you that sometimes it happens that, after a domestic violence, let's suppose, let's talk about parents and children's. So the children do not have physical wounds, or they do not have, things to prove that they are being treated like that, like this, by their parents. So how can a victim of domestic violence prove their experience if they do not have physical wounds?
So that comes to good lawyering. At that point, you need to start collecting some proofs. Finances are easy to prove.
Mhm.
How have they been supporting, what does the parent give.
Mhm.
um One second, my camera just moved. Okay. And then their testimony and the credibility of the witnesses, and the judges in such cases are going to look at credibility
Mhm.
and prior history. Somehow or the other, these things come up. And a lot of times, and these days, people are tech savvy, they record everything. So you have
Yeah.
recordings. I mean, people walk into my office now and I'm like shocked. Where did you get this recording from? Did you like pre-plan it? Because they have everything recorded. A person abusing them or screaming or throwing stuff, they have like video
Mhm.
recordings of everything. So in this day and age, you have to actually be careful who you're speaking to about what, because you don't know who's recording you. And now
Right,
you have
definitely.
CCTV camera. Now, the father and daughter, that incident, he didn't even
Mhm.
realize his CCTV camera had captured everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
there are ways to prove these things. You just
Okay.
have to get innovative.
Yeah, definitely
But if there
innovative
is
and
truth to
creative.
it, if there is truth to the abuse, then yes, you can prove it. There are
Okay.
ways to do it, and I have to see a individual. It's case by case basis.
That's true. So, I mean, basically, you would suggest to hire a good attorney.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but you have to be truthful. If your
Truthful.
case is good, you're
Mhm.
going to win. Yeah,
All right.
attorney does matter, but I feel that in these kind of cases, it's all, do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes, like in the last episode, we got a question. Before we take up this question, I would like to know from you. We got a question which was very weird, where the girl was trying to live with her white boyfriend, and she wanted, if you remember that question. So
Yes,
in such cases, what can the person do? I mean, the victim do.
the victim should divorce her immediately.
I mean, let's say,
Why would you
okay,
support somebody's? That's an extramarital affair, right? So
right,
why would
right.
you live with that? And why would he support somebody's extramarital affair that's going on? I mean, it makes no sense to me. And if somebody's cheating on you, once a cheater is always a cheater. So you
That's true.
need to get rid of them right away.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
divorce.
divorce. Okay,
But you
I
can't
think.
say because she's having an extramarital affair that's
Mhm.
domestic violence. No, people do that all the time. But your choice is to separate from them.
Okay. Okay. Just separate. I think separation will be the best option in these cases, right?
Yeah, I mean, why would you live with if you want to support the white boyfriend, that's your choice. But why would
But
somebody want to do that?
yeah, but not with your husband's money, or at least your
Exactly.
ex-husband's money, whatever, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, the next question I would like to know from you, that how can victim access these resources, and what kind of support do they provide?
I just went over it. So if you call these different organizations, and I
Mhm.
can provide you a list. I don't have it off the top, but if you Google it, there's Women Aware. There's the New Jersey Domestic Violence as an organization. There is Manavi. You call these
Mhm.
organizations, they will have a counselor, they'll interview you, they'll meet you, they'll tell you everything they can help with, they'll hear your story and
Mhm.
provide you the kind of help that you actually need.
Mhm.
Some of them just need legal help, and they will, for a DV case, they will provide a pro bono lawyer, a free lawyer to go and help you.
Mhm.
Some of them have left their homes. I had a client who, and a very affluent family, mind you. Uh,
Mhm.
the in-laws and the husband literally caught her and they beat her. So the next day she took her kids and she left the house. Um,
Okay.
and she went straight to a shelter, and she lived in that shelter for almost 6 7 months with her kids going to school from the shelter.
Mhm.
And eventually she landed up a job, and today I'm happy to report she has a huge house, she's doing extremely well, and she's very happy.
That's nice. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing this experience, Seema. And now I would like to tell everyone that everyone, I hope so far the session is informative and helpful to you. And if you need any help, like I said before, don't forget to reach out to Attorney Seema at you can call her at 609-454-3168. You could mail her at seema@ssinglaw.com, or you could visit her website, which is www.ssinglaw.com or seemasingh.com. After this, I would like to take a short break because, like we say, break is important. So you can, go heat up your coffees or teas or drink some water and come back. We'll be right here. So stay tuned.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833 412 8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Rajni Bharara, and today we are discussing domestic violence and immigration consequences topic. And I have with me Attorney Seema Singh on the show. So now, after my questions, let's take a few chats and let's take a few viewer questions because I'm getting a lot of them and I'm able to see them on the right hand side of my screen. So let's take the very first question from our first viewer. And the first question that we have is from Tiffany Gucci. Okay, that's a nice name, Tiffany and Gucci. Tiffany is also a brand and Gucci is also a brand. So Tiffany wants to know, on F1 since 2016, faced domestic violence charge in 2017, pleaded guilty, case expunged after 6 months, applied for H1B in 2022, picked in lottery, processing ongoing. Worried if past case, worried if past case affects H1B. Okay.
So your case was, it was because it was expunged. It was a criminal case. I'm taking it, right, because a
Mhm.
TRO and an FRO is a civil case. So a TRO FRO
Mhm.
can never be expunged. Okay. So it seems like there
Okay.
was no TRO filed. It only went to
Uh,
a criminal court. That's what I'm reading here. And she pleaded guilty, or
okay.
he pleaded guilty. Now, I'm not sure whether that was downgraded. If that charge was
Mhm.
downgraded to a misdemeanor or something like that, then there's no fear of being deported. If it was a felony, then there was, and you pleaded guilty to a felony, you would have gone to jail. So again, I'm
Mhm.
assuming, and I'm assuming a lot here, by the way, I'm assuming that there was no jail time, and it's been expunged. So I don't think. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know. And then again, immigration is nobody can bet on immigration, the USCIS. They do their own thing. So let's hope and pray that it doesn't affect. I don't think it should by reading what
Okay.
I'm reading here. But again, I'm going by a lot of assumptions that I'm making.
Okay.
If there's
So it
an
depends.
expungement, there's no TRO or FRO because you can't expunge a TRO or a FRO. It's civil. So
Okay.
this was in
All right.
criminal court.
Okay, okay. So, Tiffany, I hope you've got the answer for your question. Thank you so much for posting your question. Next, we would like to take another viewer question, and the question is from Krishna. Krishna has posted this on YouTube and wants to know. Currently, I am on F1 OPT. I have been with domestic violence, and case has been closed. Does this affect to background checks when I move from my current employer?
I'm not sure I have been with domestic violence, what that means. Was there an FRO entered? If there was an FRO entered, then there has to be fingerprinting and all of that that has taken place. So, yes, it would come up in a background check. And if he's not got an FRO and there was just a TRO, I know they ask questions these days that have you been convicted of a crime or have you been a victim of domestic violence or perpetrator? I know there are some companies that ask these questions. So,
Mhm.
it could affect. It could affect when you move from your current employer. But I don't know. Again, there's assumptions I'm making here because there's not enough information for me to answer that fully.
Okay, so Krishna, please post a follow-up question if you want to know like an explanatory answer because like the attorney said herself that okay, Krishna, I mean let's take another viewer question. Krishna, in the meanwhile, you can send a follow-up question. And next question that we have is from Nitin Paul. And Nitin wants to know, is a financial reimbursement agreement for an H-1B visa enforceable in court? What are the consequences of breaking it besides repayment?
I don't understand financial reimbursement agreement for an H-1B visa. This has nothing to do with domestic violence, I take it, right? Or does it? If you have an
Yeah, I feel
agreement, I'm not sure what this question means. Has the person, has the employer given
yeah.
an agreement? I don't know the answer to this. I don't understand the
Okay.
question actually.
Okay, Nitin, I would request you to also please send a proper question, frame a proper question, and frame if you have been going through something, just frame it properly and then post it on, whichever platform that you're posting it on, so that we have a clarity on your question and the attorney can provide a better answer. Now, coming to our next viewer, the next viewer is Andrew, and Andrew wants to know, asking for a friend. Okay, he had an arrest with domestic violence. He was not convicted and the case is dismissed. His firm is in process. Will it be difficult for him to get the visa?
No, if it was dismissed, um, he can get that record expunged. So that shouldn't matter. That means it was like a false, um, it was a false kind of a domestic violence. It seems to me here. So no, that should not
Mhm.
affect.
Okay,
And
okay.
he was
Andrew,
not
I hope
convicted. He was not convicted, and the case was dismissed. So those are key factors here. And if he was arrested, then it's a criminal case. He should get that expunged. He should get all those records
absolutely.
expunged.
Okay, so Andrew, I hope you've got the answer for your question. I am sure you must be happy now. Your friend must be happy now. So thank you so much for posting your question. After Andrew, let's take up another viewer
In
question.
fact, I just
The
want
next
one
question,
sec. In fact, when there is a
yeah.
dismissal, you don't need to
Mhm.
wait for an expungement time. You can do it immediately. Otherwise, if there is when somebody has pled guilty, you have to wait for a certain period before you can file for an expungement. So this should be really fast.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for answering the question, Seema. And now let's take up another viewer question. The next question that we have is from Shrujit. And Shrujit has posted this on YouTube. And I would like to again mention that every time I say posted this on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, I just want everyone to know that we are streamed live on different platforms. In case if you're not being able to watch us on a particular platform, you can definitely switch on to the other platform. So this has been posted on YouTube. And Srujit says F1 student with lost passport reported to university police on academic probation, GPA 3, graduating in summer 2024, concerns about passport reissues impacting visa stamping. Okay, I'm not sure if this is a domestic violence, a question or
It's
not.
not, but what I would suggest is, I don't
Okay.
know which country you're from. If you're from India, go to the Indian
Mhm,
consulate. If you have an Indian passport, go and see if the consulate can
mhm,
help you. They should. If you're an Indian citizen or whichever country you're from, your consulate is the best place to start. And get
mhm.
that. And visa impacting, you should reach out to the USCIS. If they've issued you a visa, they have a copy somewhere. Um, I would get an immigration attorney and have them send a letter and get that reissued. But first, get your
Right.
passport.
Everyone, just please remember that your question should be regarding domestic violence, not regarding immigration. I mean, Seema was an immigration lawyer, but not anymore. She was an immigration lawyer until 2020. You were an immigration
I
lawyer.
was never an immigration lawyer, but I did immigration work. But after COVID, I
Okay,
stopped.
you
So I don't
stopped.
know any
Okay,
updates.
all right.
I don't follow that.
But if you have any domestic violence case questions, so you definitely can post them on different platforms. All right, let's take up another question. The next question that we have is from this viewer called Abhishek. Okay, Abhishek has posted this on YouTube, and Abhishek wants to know if there is a domestic violence court case. Okay, I'm not
You took
sure
it off.
why it went off. So Abhishek, can we have the question here? Okay, right. It's here. If there is a domestic violence court case and police case against someone, is it advisable to raise a fresh H1B for that person?
How is that going to help you? Because your name is not changing, your details are not changing. This is all in the system. If you have a police case, you have a DV. That's already you've already been fingerprinted, and your photographs have been taken. It's already in the system. So I'm not sure. This question was asked last time as well, by the way.
Yeah, I remember. I think just people want to, when the phone stops working, what they do is they turn it off and they restart the phone. And same goes with laptop and other things. So I think they are thinking like that. So if they have this case, so they are thinking about
My
reapplying.
answer won't
All
change.
right. Yeah, nothing changes, right? Yeah. So all right, so let's take up next question. The next question that we have is from this another user, saving souls. Okay, so say actually this YouTube viewer is actually saving souls, so you need to save many more souls, saving souls. Okay, I just have to read out this question now. Hi, this is okay, Shruti, I came to US on H1B. My in-laws filed H1 for me so that my husband, who was not getting H1 for a long time and rejected many times, could get H4 through me.
So what's the question?
But how's so what was the question, and how is this a domestic violence question, Shruti? Shruti, just frame the question properly if
No,
it's
but wait, there
related
is
to
no
domestic
question
violence.
though. She's just telling us facts. What's your
Yeah,
question,
right.
Shruti?
Shruti, please frame your question properly. And okay, here is the question. My husband started affair with his elder brother's wife, and his mom is supporting him. I had to go through a lot of pain and threats when confronted him, and my mother-in-law, she said on my face, ignore. Okay, she is actually she's narrating the story. Okay, and then she's saying she co-sister has money, I don't have money. She said, will you give dollars if my son stays with you? Now after 1.5 year, they have manipulated everything and started torturing me. Okay, do we have anything else? Okay, my mother-in-law, my husband, and my co-sister manipulated the story and said to my husband's elder brother that I'm bad and I'm suspicious about them. Okay. Now, my husband's elder brother scolded me a lot, saying I'm suspecting all the time, and he threatened me, saying I won't be quiet, and said all words to me. I don't have anyone in US. Okay, it's a huge question. Please help.
Leave him. File a divorce. How much does he make?
But then,
How long are you married?
but
Do
then,
you have kids? All those questions come into play.
but Seema, as she said that she doesn't, and she doesn't have money, and also, she has no one who she can contact with in the US. She's alone.
But when there is
There
domestic
in the US.
violence, the consulate, you can reach out to the Indian consulate, and they will
Mhm.
give you funds to retain an attorney to start the divorce process. They have some fund. The Indian government gives that, so you can reach out to
Oh,
them.
okay, okay. All right. So, thank you so much, Shruti, for your question. I hope you have got the answer
I mean,
for
again,
your question.
I'm again, I don't have all the facts. Is she a green card holder? What is her status here? Is she relying on him for her status? Can she remain here after she files a divorce? Are there kids involved? I mean, there's so many questions that I would ask a client when they walked in before I could advise. I mean, I can't even advise on this, but off the top, morally, if your husband is cheating on you and you're suspicious and you're constantly
Mhm.
uh, and he's saying he is not, then you have two choices: either to believe him and stay on, or to believe yourself and leave.
Right, right. But then, I think she said that she stayed with him, and maybe it was because she did not have money. She didn't have money, and then she did not have anyone um,
Once you
in the
file the
US.
divorce,
That's why.
you will get the money. You'll get
Okay,
mental relief while the divorce is going on. Again, how much does
okay.
he make? Do you work? I mean, I don't know. There are many, many questions that need to be answered before advice can be given.
Okay, Shruti, if you can please post a question, as Seema said, are you on a green card, or, what money is he making? I mean, you can just mention all these information, and the attorney will be happy to answer you. All right, so let's take up another question. The next question that we have is from the other user. Okay, let's take up viewer question. The next viewer that we have is Ashik Ashu. Okay, Ashik Ashu. That's an interesting name. Ashik Ashu says, neighbors reported me for criminal mischief. Will it affect my H1B or green card despite no conviction? I'm worried. What should I do? Okay, so if
No, so
I
but there's
think
no
this,
conviction, and what was the
yeah,
criminal mischief? What happened in the court? If there was no conviction, I'm taking it that they dismissed it, or you were found not guilty. Then, were you arrested? I mean, all of these questions go. I would ask you if you were sitting in front of me that, were you arrested? If you were, get that expunged. If you nothing has happened, then uh, was it downgraded? You know, I don't know what the answers to these are.
okay. So I think they need to have their questions framed properly, so you could give a better answer, because they are just giving half questions. They're sending half questions, and we are not able to give proper answers. Okay. Anyways, now coming to our next viewer. The next viewer is Sanyogita, and she has posted this on YouTube. And Sanyogita says, "I'm a victim of domestic violence as per the police reports. As per the police reports, okay. Will that affect my H1B in any way?" Again, same question.
No, you are a victim, right? So why would it affect your H1B? However,
Hmm.
if you were on H4 and your husband was on H1B and he was the abuser and you had filed a TRO, that may impact both of you. But you are a
Right.
victim of domestic violence. And when you go to DV court, they don't ask you your status in this country. And I think there's some law, if I'm not mistaken, in New Jersey that you, even if the police stops you, they can ask you your status. It's illegal to ask a person's status, even if they stop you for a speeding ticket, or if you're speeding, they can't ask you your legal status.
Okay. Okay. So, Sanyogita, I don't think it is going to affect your H1B anyway, right? It isn't, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's take up another viewer question. The next viewer that we have is Rennie. Rennie has posted this on YouTube, and she says, "I was arrested for domestic violence, was in jail for 3 days. Now my spouse is willing to drop the charges. I have pending H4 petitions. I need legal advice on this." Okay. What do you have to say, Seema?
So if he's got a pending H4, means his spouse is the H1 holder. And if she's
Hmm.
dismissing everything, yeah, if you're in jail for 3 days, you should get that expunged if she's willing to drop the charges, and the court allows it. A lot of times, prosecutors, depending on whether it's a state versus your case, or whether it's your wife has filed a citizen's complaint, those things matter as well. These days, prosecutors have become very hell bent on prosecuting these cases because domestic violence amongst the Indian community has escalated. And every
Oh,
time, when even when cops come, they're like, We go all the way to protect them, and then last minute they drop the charges, and the next thing they're abused
Right.
again. So it again, I have many more follow-up questions to ask you before I can answer this. And your pending H4, it'll all depend on what you do with your, your arrest, and whether the charges are dropped, get it expunged. um,
Mhm. Okay, so there are many pending questions
there are
that
many
need to
questions
be
that need
asked
to
from
be
Reni.
asked before
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
answer that.
Okay, so Reni, if you can please, mention all these important points so that the attorney can answer you better. Now, next, let's take up another viewer question. The next viewer is Anna Cabela, if I'm pronouncing the name right. So Anna Cabela says, during OPT, I got a DUI, hired an attorney, and now face court hearings. Received um, an immigration notice stating visa revocation under 212A. What will be further consequences?
This is a DUI case. This is not domestic violence. So you'll have to.
Mm,
You've got an attorney. He should be able to advise you on this. If you already have a visa revocation notice, you're going to be deported. If they
right.
revoke your
I think,
visa, I mean, it's a very natural consequence. You'll be deported next, unless you appeal
mhm.
it. Get an immigration attorney and file an appeal.
Mm. Okay. I think, they see an attorney and they want to ask as many questions, whatever question they feel like. They don't look at the topic. I mean, they think, they've got this platform, they've got this chance, so why should they waste it?
And
Because,
and,
it's
and
free of
and
charge.
DUI cases these days are pretty strict. I used to do DUI. I've stopped doing it because even God can't come down and help you anymore. If you have a DUI, your license is going to be suspended. You're going to be taken to task because there have been so many
Mm,
deaths when you're under the influence. So if you're driving under the
mm.
influence, there's not much that can be helped.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So now the next question that we have is from Charan, and Charan has posted this on YouTube. And Charan wants to know: received a civil harassment restraining order (HRO) from an ex-girlfriend on H1B. Planning India visit. My attorney assured no issue on criminal background check. Any concerns at port of entry?
If you've received a civil harassment restraining order, that's a TRO or is it an FRO?
I mean, he says it's an
I've never
HRO.
heard of
I'm
an
not sure.
HRO. So
Yeah.
is it a TRO, a temporary restraint? You harassed her. She filed harassment charges. So is it a TRO or is it already an FRO that has been entered? It's the first question. And secondly, if
Mm,
there's an FRO, then you had to have been fingerprinted, and that may affect you. I wouldn't leave.
mm. Okay. Okay. So Charan just it's a matter of concern, so I think he should be concerned a bit about this.
Yes.
So next, now let's take up another question. Okay, so we have a follow-up question from Shruti, actually, Saving Souls. So Shruti is actually constantly following the episode, and she has come back with the question, and she says, I'm on H1B and came to US in 2022. He is just giving rights and doesn't make much. They are holding my H1 visa since H1 was filed by their friend who is my employer and never allowed me to get a job.
What do you mean they didn't allow you to get a job? Then how do you have an H1? H1 is job related, right? So I'm confused. If he's holding your H1, then why don't you have a job?
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I'm understanding that. So,
Okay, she says, now I got a job finally. I have 2-year-old son. My debit cards are with my husband.
okay, so is if that's your own bank account, go to the bank and reissue a debit card, tell them it's stolen, and get new debit cards and keep it with yourself.
Hmm.
I don't know what the question is.
I'm not sure. Are you trying to say that they don't allow you to go out, Shruti?
She said I got a job finally.
Yeah, she's
So I'm
that's
not sure what the
okay.
question is.
Okay, so the follow-up, there is this new follow-up, and she says husband works and wants the spouse to work, but
I can't
spouse
see
is
the
not
question.
interested. How? Okay, okay. All right, so let's take up another viewer question. I think it was a different question. So let's take another viewer question. The next question that we have is from Anji, and Anji has posted this on YouTube. And Anji says, met in 2018, casual meetups 2019, faced family violence order, no charges. Now committed to a relationship, planning partnership visa. Concerned if past order impacts application in country presently.
What is
Okay.
this phased family violence order? What order is it? Number one, is it a TRO, FRO? Because you're saying no charges. I'm not sure what that order is. Planning a partnership visa. What is a partnership visa? Is it a fiance visa? Um, is
Just
he a
Anshi,
citizen?
just try to be a little clear with your
If
question,
he is a
please.
citizen, then it makes it much easier. If a citizen is
Okay.
applying for it, it's much easier. I don't know what partnership visa it is. Is it a fiance visa she's talking about?
Okay, so I mean, we can't say. So we'll have to, Anji, you'll have to be specific and clear with your question so that the attorney can give a better answer. So all the viewers who are watching us from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, please make sure that your questions are framed properly and with more details, so that the if we read it out to the attorney, so the attorneys can give better answers. Okay, now next, let's take up another viewer question. The next question that we have is from the viewer called. Can we please have it on screen? Okay, Huram. Huram K. So Huram says, does anyone know how to get a police clearance certificate in the US? Need one for immigration purposes.
If you are born in India, you have to get your police clearance from India for immigration purposes. You don't get it over here. If you're born here, then go to your police station and ask them.
Okay.
I know for
And what if
immigration visas, when we've applied for our parents, they need police clearance. We have to call back to our town where they were born and get those clearances from there. So I'm not sure where this person was, where Huram was born. He has to get it from wherever he's come from, if it's for
okay,
immigration purposes.
Huram, I hope you understood what the attorney said, and I hope you follow what she said. Now let's come back to Shruti. Okay, Shruti has come back, and she's saying, I'm not allowed to go out. It is a remote work. Okay, it's a remote job. If I have to go anywhere, my husband has to take me. Okay, do we have anything else? And that's it, I think. She's saying that
What's the question, though?
she's working remotely, and she's not allowed to go out. So how is it possible for her to go to the bank and change, you recommended that go to the bank, and yeah.
So you have to take your first step. You're on the H1. He's reliant on you. You have an upper hand right there. So you need
Hmm.
to take the first step and tell them you are going, and report it to the police and separate from him,
Yeah.
at least temporarily, so that you can work things out. You have to take that first step. No one else can help you there. So either go to the
Hmm.
police or just be very aggressive and say, I'm leaving. I'm not going to live like this. Yes, you have a child, I know, but go and file something against him.
I think even if, Shruti, if you're not allowed to go out, at least what you can do is, I feel, you must be having a cell phone, a telephone, a mobile phone. You can just take, give a call to the police and discuss the case with them, right?
I mean,
They might be able to
I
help
would
you.
even tell him upfront first that if I'm not allowed to do these things, I will have to take some action. I cannot
Mm,
live like that.
right,
You have to speak up. You cannot. Uh, it's your life. You have to take that first step. Then only others can help you.
right. Definitely, definitely. All right, so let's take up next question. The next question that we have is from the viewer. Okay, husband is working, and this the viewer is anonymous, I feel. Husband is working and wants the spouse to work, but spouse is not interested. How will that work regarding pursuing a visa process before it results into a domestic violence?
What? Do you
Yeah.
understand the question? I don't understand the question. What do you mean by how will it
I'll
work?
have to read it again. Husband is working and wants the spouse to work,
Right, but
but
how will it?
spouse is not interested. Okay. How will that work regarding pursuing a visa process before it results into domestic? Oh my,
I don't
that's a
understand the
tricky one.
question.
Neither do I. Okay, let's take up another question then. I mean, these are some complicated questions that we have from the viewers, right? So, like I said, they must be thinking that we have an attorney right in front of us.
Why don't
Why
you want
not
to work?
ask
You should
questions?
go work. Be independent.
Right, that's true. In this day and age, you definitely should. And okay, so the next question that we have is from another viewer. And the next question, can we please have it on screen?
It's 105, huh? I'm just letting you know.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are getting too many questions, but okay. Before taking, the viewer question, let's. I mean, because we have a few minutes, so let's take our own question. How can victims access? Okay, we already took that question. How does the fear of deportation influence the victims to seek legal help? If you
So a lot
remember
of
discussing it.
Right. A lot of times there are victims who don't have a proper status in this country, or they fear that if they go take seek help, their husbands who are maybe on an H1 or an F1 or even on a green card may get affected. So that sort of
Mhm,
deters them from seeking help. But what I would say is, I would urge you to go seek help. There are ways of not letting it go to the FRO stage. There are civil restraints that can be entered. You or try and separate yourself. Don't stay in a situation where the domestic violence can get aggravated because you're fearful of your legal status and you're not seeking help. At least separate,
mhm,
move off to the friend's house. You need that cooling period. Then insist on counseling or anger management or some kind of third party intervention who could help you all
mhm,
either stay together peacefully or to separate. But
mhm,
when you go file for a TRO,
mhm,
you can convert that into civil restraints without going into a hearing, without having the party convicted. Those civil restraints actually protect both the parties from
mhm,
remaining separate and not being in close to each other, where uh, more domestic violence can take place, or the initial domestic violence can get aggravated. So there are
mhm,
ways where you can seek help which does not affect the deportation. So you should not
mhm,
fear that. But don't live in domestic violence because you're fearful of your status and you feel you will be deported. I would not
mhm.
suggest that you ever live in DV, because there are people who get
Okay.
killed. These are crimes of passion. And any civil court in New Jersey does not have,
Mhm,
the sheriffs don't have guns. It's only in family
mhm,
court that the sheriffs are mandated to carry a gun. Why? Because there are crimes of passion. These are crimes of passion. So you
right.
cannot wait for something bad to happen. Please seek help. And there are ways to seek help. Get a third party intervention, get some friends or family to intervene, but don't live
Mhm.
in a domestic violence kind of an environment.
Okay, okay, definitely. Everyone, please remember what the attorney is saying, because she is the legal maestro. Whatever she's suggesting is right for you, and you should do what the your attorney asks you to do, and also what Seema is telling you. So please always, always, always follow your attorneys on such matters, especially. And remember that if you want to reach out to Seema, then you can definitely call her at 609-454-3168, or you can mail her at seema@ssinghLaw.com, or you could visit her website, which is ssinghLaw.com. And she has one more website, and it is www.seemasingh.com. And remember, if you're looking for a project placement or visa sponsorship, you can reach out to me on my email, which is rajni@hierarchypeople.com. And you can also message me on WhatsApp, and you can give me a call. My number is +1 732 707 9151, or you could visit our website www.hierarchypeople.com. Remember, we also sponsor H1B visas and green cards. Well, thank you so much, Seema. Sure. I mean, I know you are busy, and you again must be having a hearing because it's Tuesday. So, but thank you so much for taking our time and doing the show and coming to the show. It really meant a lot to us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been my pleasure. And I hope my answers have helped at least some, if not all of you. Next time, make sure your questions are more detailed. And you can
Right.
always feel free to reach out to me in the numbers and the email. Email is the best way, seema@ssinglelaw.com. I immediately respond to that. So I look forward to hearing from you. And Rajni, always a pleasure to be on on this show with you. It's been a great experience, great platform. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, would you like to give out the topic for next episode or?
We'll have to discuss it. Maybe the
Okay.
viewers
All
can
right.
suggest a topic. I know
Yeah.
that right now landlord tenant issues are like huge in New Jersey
Uh-huh.
with the tenants taking over their, not vacating and things like that. I don't know if that's of interest. We can cover that. We can cover probate issues. If somebody dies, what do you have to do? I've just had
Hmm.
a slew of cases regarding deaths and how to probate it and how to get all the assets together. So I don't know. We can discuss whatever topic, or your
Let's see.
viewers
Let's
can
discuss.
viewers can
Post the
send
show,
you.
let's discuss. Yeah, right, right. And viewers, if you have a topic of interest, you definitely can suggest us by commenting or by sending us a mail or a message. We can, definitely have a discussion on the topic. Should we take it or not? And we definitely can take if the topic is interesting enough. So thank you again, Seema, and
Thank you
it
so much.
was a lovely,
Thank you
um,
so much, Rajni, and to all the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Everybody, enjoy and thank you. Have a great weekend. I know weekend is just gone, but I'll see you next week.
yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
true. All right. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Bye bye.
And everyone, that's a wrap for today's show with the incredible attorney Seema Singh. We have tackled some tough topics, but hey, that's how we roll on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, taking on the heavy hitters with style and a sprinkle of humor. Remember, folks, whether you are navigating the complexities of immigration or dealing with the aftermath of domestic violence, you're not alone. Reach out, seek support, and keep pushing forward. Let's all be champions of change in our communities. Until next time, stay awesome, stay compassionate, and keep those questions coming. Take care, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.